The only thing constant is change. According to Herodotus in the 5th century BC. But there's one other constant, and that's resistance to change. And that's just as constant as change itself. But change happens. And as a team leader, one of your jobs is to implement change. Here's some suggestions on the best way to do that. Let's look at change that's been directed from somewhere else, from your boss, from the corporation, from the CEO, whoever. And then we'll look at change that you want to implement yourself. So when change comes down from on high, what are you supposed to do? When I was in the Air Force, there was a standing instruction, if you will, that when such change happened, when the big wheels decided that something was going to happen, it was your job to accept that, take it back to your team, and treat it as though it was your own idea. I've never seen anybody that could pull that off. Because, first of all, most people can tell, and you look like you're either sucking up to the boss or that you don't have the team's best interests at heart and you don't understand what their concerns might be. I found a much better way. When this sort of change flows down and your boss tells you about it, take that opportunity to first make sure you understand what the change is. And then to express your concerns to the boss in private and not in a confrontational way. Make sure that the boss understands where you think there might be problems. Now, that may cause a slight adjustment, or it may not. The point is that you have expressed your concerns. Because when you get up, open the door, and walk out of that office, you really only have one option, and that is to implement the change that's been directed. So now you have to take that to your team. And here's where you start to get team buy-in. You tell the team what it is that's been directed, what they need to do. And you tell them about that conversation you had with the boss, the concerns you expressed, and what the boss said. Now, this is not an opportunity to bash the boss. And there may be some things in that conversation you don't want to share with your team, and that's fine. But the point is, the team now understands that you expressed their concerns, that you had their interests at heart, and at least made an effort talking to the boss. Now, you have to tell the team, this is what we're going to do. Because as I said, that's really your only option. But when you do that, you don't just tell the team, this is what we're going to do. You tell the team, this is what we've been directed to do. And one of the things we're going to do is find the good in this. We're going to find a way to make this work for the company, for the team. This is going to be a success. Now, you have expressed your concerns to the boss. You've told the team that, and now you've taken a positive approach with the team. This is how you get buy-in. Now, your team sees where you are on this, and they're much more likely to be supportive from that point forward. Now, I understand there are always going to be some holdouts. There are people that just don't want to change. And there are various reasons for that. And we'll get back to that in a minute. But first, let's talk about implementing change that you think is a good idea. Now, you're the boss. You could just say, this is what we're going to do. And you can make it happen. But I suggest a little softer approach. Remember, a little bit ago, we talked about that change that's directed on high, and you talked to the boss about your concerns. You need to give your team the same courtesy. So instead of saying, this is what I'm going to do, or this is what we're going to do, try this. Try saying, I've been thinking about how we do this particular procedure, and I think I may have a different way, maybe a better way of doing that. I'd like to try something, or I have an idea and I'd like to see if that's going to work. Then you start the discussion with your team about what your idea is. What is the change that you want to make? You have a team of experts. Collectively, they have more experience and probably more knowledge than you ever will. You're not the smartest guy in the room, in other words. So take advantage of all that experience, all that wisdom. You ask how we can do this. Not that we're going to do this. You ask how can we do this? And they'll tell you, we can try this, we can try that. You know, we tried this before and it didn't work, and here's why. Okay, so how about if we take a different approach? This kind of discussion is what will make your idea their idea and make it better than you ever could have by yourself. Now you have team buy-in because they've been part of the planning process for this change you want to make. Now those holdouts, there will always be holdouts. There will be holdouts in this case too. People who just don't want to change. Sometimes it's because they've been there a long time and they like it the way it is, and change is hard and they don't want to do it. Sometimes it's because they think you're completely wrong. Your job is to draw them out. Your job is to find out why they don't want to change. Listen to what they have to say, because they may have that one piece that'll make the change a success. That doesn't mean that everybody's always going to be on board. That's absolutely true. But I've also found that in really good, cohesive teams, there really aren't a lot of holdouts that just don't want to change, because that affects their ability to be part of the team. Change is constant. Resistance to change is constant. You as a team leader are stuck with the responsibility of implementing whatever the change is. So be positive about that. Get your team buy-in and make it a great experience that makes your team better, that makes the company better. Change isn't always bad. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to see more, click on the subscribe button right here. I'm always loading new content. And speaking of content, in the description below there's a link. Go to that link. It takes you to our website where you can download a lot more great information. And it's no sales. It's all free. Just want to give you some tips, tools, and techniques to help you be a more effective leader.